So I grew up going to a deaf church here in Battle Creek, and one of the beautiful parts of going to a deaf church was watching the people there use their own language in the service. And one memory that sticks out for me in deaf church is watching the deaf people during prayer time, right at the end, and sometimes in the beginning when we would do songs. Song time at the deaf church was always amazing, and to some people who don't know anything about deaf culture, that might seem a little strange to think that deaf people would do music time, but they did, and their songs were beautiful, and they weren't dependent on the sound, they were dependent on the beauty of the signs and what was in their heart that they wanted to tell to God. Prayer being a very personal thing that anyone can do in any language was so beautiful to watch at Deaf Church, because each person, regardless of their signing abilities, whether they were proficient signers and deaf themselves, or maybe they were a student and they were learning sign language and they were still a little awkward with their signs, it didn't matter. Everyone could sign and communicate and give that prayer language to God. One thing that I always think about when it comes to prayer is that verse that says, "Ask and you shall receive." And that when Jesus said those words, he just said, "Ask." He didn't say, depending on the kind of person, or depending on the language, or depending on your background, or depending on how good of a Christian you are, or how many mistakes you made in your life. That didn't matter. Really, it was just ask. And that every person, any language, can communicate with God, and in their heart quietly, or with their hands beautifully. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the beautiful things that I think about sign language with our churches that have deaf in their congregations. The deaf come and they are with us, and they bring this beautiful representation of their faith with their hands.